The hardware for a converged mobile computing device existed a full decade before the smartphone market actually arrived. In 1999, the components for a pocketable, networked camera were already sitting in the laboratories of Eastman Kodak. At the time, Kodak maintained a $28 billion market valuation and controlled 90% of the United States film market. This dominance was fueled by a research and development budget that reached $935 million annually by the mid-1990s. George Fisher, the chief executive who joined Kodak in 1993, brought a specific expertise to this R&D machine. He was the former CEO of Motorola, possessing a deep institutional knowledge of global telecommunications. Under Fisher, Kodak possessed the capital, the patent portfolio, and the leadership to synthesize a multi-touch, imaging-centric smartphone before the end of the century. By analyzing strictly commercially available hardware and active 1999 patents, we can reconstruct the exact specifications of the hypothetical Kodak Convergence Device. Proving that this device was physically possible identifies Kodak's eventual bankruptcy as a series of specific corporate decisions. The primary engineering challenge of 1999 was finding a processor that could render a color interface and compress megapixel photos without instantly depleting a mobile battery. This required a chip with a very low thermal design power, or TDP. TDP measures the maximum heat a chip generates. If that number is too high, the device requires bulky active cooling fans that cannot fit in a pocket. This chart shows the 1999 silicon landscape. Laptop processors like the Intel Mobile Pentium 3 delivered 450 MHz, but their 15-watt TDP made them too hot. Conversely, PDA chips like the Motorola Dragon Ball VC ran at low temperatures but lacked the speed for complex media. At 33 MHz, the Dragon Ball series lacked the mathematical throughput required for real-time JPEG compression. The solution was the Intel StrongARM SA1110. This 32-bit architecture operated at approximately 200 MHz while staying within a passive mobile power envelope. The StrongARM chip provided the specific instruction set needed to process megapixel image data and render color graphics without an active cooling system. Adopting this ARM-based architecture in 1999 provides the same computational foundation that Apple would use to launch the iPhone years later. While early Japanese competitors viewed mobile photography as a novelty, Kodak could have utilized its dominance in sensor science to make imaging the core value of the device. The Kyocera VP210, released in 1999, produced images at just 0.11 megapixels. The sensor was too small and inefficient to produce usable photographs. The quality gap was a result of the physics governing the two main types of sensors: charge-coupled devices, or CCDs, and active pixel sensors. CCDs capture high-quality images but require high operational voltages. This power draw is incompatible with a 1999 mobile battery. Active pixel sensors built on CMOS technology are much more efficient. Integrating an amplifier directly into each pixel significantly reduces the energy required. In 1998, Kodak patented a way to bridge these technologies, integrating a pinned photodiode, ensuring color accuracy, directly into a low-power CMOS architecture. By deploying a custom 1.0 megapixel Kodak CMOS sensor, this device would have made entry-level digital cameras and early camera phones obsolete instantly. To view these high-quality images, the device needed a screen that wasn't cluttered by buttons. Most 1999 designs used physical keyboards that consumed the majority of the device's front face, leaving very little room for a digital viewfinder. Even stylus-driven devices, like the Palm series, used a dedicated input area that prevented the user from interacting directly with their media on the main screen. However, in 1998, a startup called FingerWorks began commercializing zero-force capacitive sensing. If Kodak acquired FingerWorks and layered its multi-touch grid over a color display, they could eliminate physical keys entirely. This would allow users to manipulate photographs using a Kodak pinch-to-zoom gesture, years before the gesture became a global standard. Maximizing the screen-to-body ratio with capacitive touch creates the first mobile device where the image takes up the entire interface. The most significant barrier remaining was the slow speed of the 1999 cellular network. Mobile data relied on circuit-switched data over 2G networks, which offered a maximum bandwidth of 9.6 kilobits per second. Sending a full 1 megabyte photo over this connection is impossible. The pipeline is too narrow to handle the data in a reasonable amount of time. Kodak's proprietary FlashPix image format was specifically designed to solve this. Instead of storing a photo as a flat grid, FlashPix saves it as a layered hierarchy of resolutions. To share a photo, the phone only transmits the smallest thumbnail. At only a few kilobytes, this tiny file flows easily through the narrow 2G pipeline. The high-resolution master file stays on the phone's internal flash memory. At the end of the day, the user drops the phone into a USB dock, offloading heavy master files to their PC for permanent storage. The transmitted thumbnail is pushed instantly to Kodak's online photo sharing service, oPhoto. By decoupling the high-resolution local storage from the low-resolution network transmission, Kodak achieves cloud-native mobile computing on a 1999 network. The introduction of this device in 1999 would have triggered an immediate realignment of the global technology market. The standalone personal digital assistant market would have collapsed. In March 2000, Palm went public with a $53 billion valuation, making it more valuable than General Motors. A converged Kodak smartphone would have decimated this IPO by showing that a handheld computer without a networked camera was an evolutionary dead end. Nokia would have lost its dominance over the high-margin executive market, forcing the company to advance its multimedia roadmap by several years. Even Apple's 2001 iPod would have appeared limited, compared to a device that already combined music, calls, and photography. If the physics allowed for this device, and Kodak held the patents and the budget, they still never built it. This was because Kodak's corporate identity was tied to chemical engineering rather than electronics. The company relied on a business model that yielded 80% profit margins on the sale of physical film, development chemicals, and paper. Kodak's management became paralyzed by these margins, demanding that new digital products match the historical profitability of their analog chemicals. Management viewed mobile imaging as a direct threat to their film business, leading them to suppress the technology to protect their legacy revenue. Kodak eventually filed for bankruptcy because the company prioritized a chemical monopoly over the engineering required to lead the mobile internet age.